Station security to command. We have a code black in Sector 7, the Vex'thul diplomat who stole the humans' lunch 3 hours ago. We just found pieces of him scattered across 4 different levels, and the humans asking if anyone's seen her sandwich. Commander Zyl'ax's secondary heart stopped beating. In 20 years of station security, he'd seen decompression accidents, smuggling operations gone wrong, even a Keltheran berserker rage that took 12 officers to contain. Nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for this. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, repeat that, Officer R. Hill, Zyl'ax said, his mandibles clicking in disbelief. Sir, Ambassador Vex'thul of the Vex'thul Diplomatic Corps is deceased. His remains are distributed across Sectors 7 through 10. Preliminary scans show no weapons discharge, no explosive residue, no toxic exposure. He just came apart. Rahil's voice cracked with barely contained panic. And, sir, the human whose lunch he took? She's at the main security desk right now filing a lost property report. She wants to know if we've checked the lost and found. Zyl'ax pulled up the security feed. There, at the front desk, stood Emma Johnson, Human Maintenance Division, 42 rotations of service with a spotless record. She wore her standard orange work jumpsuit, tool belt hanging from her hip, dark hair pulled back in what humans called a ponytail. She looked tired, slightly annoyed, and was filling out forms with the kind of resigned patience of someone dealing with bureaucracy. Next to her stood Kale Toss, the junior Vex'thul diplomatic aide, his crimson scales pale with shock, all 12 feet of apex predator reduced to trembling confusion. Commander, his communication implant buzzed. Galactic Council security on priority channel. They're demanding immediate answers about the death of Ambassador Vex'thul. 3 more council members are inbound on emergency transport. ETA 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Zyl'ax had 20 minutes to explain how a Vex'thul, a species that had conquered 47 star systems through sheer physical dominance, whose warriors were legendary across 3 galactic arms, who possessed diplomatic immunity that made them functionally untouchable, had been reduced to scattered body parts by a human maintenance technician, over a sandwich. Initiate station lockdown, Zyl'ax ordered. Nobody leaves until we understand what happened. And somebody get me the human embassy representative. Now. He pulled up the preliminary medical examiner's report on his display. The words made no sense. Cause of death, undetermined. Method of dismemberment, unknown. Time of death, approximately 3 hours ago. Location of death, multiple. The body parts had been found in a ventilation shaft, a storage closet, the recyclable processing center, and inexplicably inside a sealed maintenance locker that required security clearance to open. Sir, Officer Dirax appeared at his shoulder, her usual composed demeanor notably absent. We've reviewed the security footage. You need to see this. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the station's communal break room at 900 hours. Emma Johnson stood at the cooling unit, placing a container inside. The timestamp showed her clearly marking it with black text. Emma, do not touch. She closed the unit, checked her handheld schedule, and left for her morning rounds. At 11:47 hours, Ambassador Vex'thul entered the same break room. The massive Vex'thul moved with the casual arrogance of someone accustomed to taking what they wanted. He opened the cooling unit, saw Emma's container, and, despite 3 other unmarked meal containers available, took hers. The footage showed him opening it, examining the contents with his translator, and then consuming the sandwich in 4 large bites. At 11:51 hours, Vex'thul walked out of the break room. At 12:14 hours, the first body part was discovered. Run it again, Zyl'ax said. There has to be something we're missing. A weapon, a device, something. Dirax shook her head. We've analyzed it 17 times, sir. Enhanced spectral imaging, molecular scanners, quantum field detection. There's nothing. The human made a sandwich, put it in the cooling unit, and left. No weapons, no technology, just food. Sir, Rahil's voice cut through the channel again. The human is getting impatient. She says she needs to finish her shift, and can we please just tell her if anyone turned in her lunch container? It was her favorite one. Had a cartoon human animal on it, something called a cat. Zyl'ax felt a headache forming behind his optical ridges. A Viroth diplomat was dead. The Galactic Council was descending on his station. A potential diplomatic crisis that could span sectors was unfolding. And the only person who didn't seem concerned was the human at the center of it all, who just wanted her sandwich container back. "Where's Kael'thas now?" Zyl'ax asked. "Still at the front desk, sir. He's trying to explain to the human that his superior is deceased. She offered her condolences and asked if that meant he wouldn't be returning the sandwich." This couldn't be happening. Zyl'ax had read the human integration protocols, had attended the mandatory sensitivity training. Humans were supposed to be fragile, short-lived, emotionally volatile but physically weak. They required specific atmospheric conditions, had stringent dietary needs, and posed minimal security concerns. Nowhere in any of the briefings had it mentioned that annoying them about lunch could result in spontaneous dismemberment of a Viroth warrior diplomat. "Sir, the council representatives are requesting you meet them at Docking Bay 3 immediately upon arrival." Acknowledged. Zyl'ax straightened his uniform. "Dirax, escort the human to interview room 1. Politely, very politely. Rahil, secure all footage and sensor data. Nobody touches the evidence, and someone find me that human embassy representative before the council arrives." He took one last look at Emma Johnson on the security feed. She'd finished her paperwork and was now chatting with the desk officer about the station's environmental controls, gesturing animatedly about a ventilation issue in Sector 12. She laughed at something, actually laughed, while 20 meters away, forensic teams were still collecting pieces of a being that most species considered unkillable. Zyl'ax had 20 years of experience. He'd handled pirates, terrorists, smugglers, and rogue AIs. He had absolutely no idea how to handle this. Interview Room 1 had been designed to handle the most dangerous criminals in 4 sectors. Reinforced walls, biometric locks, containment field generators capable of holding a Thaxian warlord. Emma Johnson sat in the center chair, sipping station coffee from a disposable cup, looking mildly inconvenienced. "So," she said, glancing at the chronometer on the wall, "how long is this going to take? I've got to recalibrate the air filtration system in the cargo bay before second shift." Zyl'ax exchanged a look with Dirax through the observation window. The medical examiner's full report had just arrived, and it made even less sense than the preliminary findings. "Ms. Johnson," Zyl'ax began carefully, "we need to understand what happened to Ambassador Vex'thul. The medical examiner has confirmed that his body parts show no signs of cutting, tearing, burning, or any conventional trauma. They simply separated at the molecular level." Emma frowned. "That's weird. Is that like a medical condition his species has? Should have probably stayed away from Earth food if he had allergies or something." "It wasn't an allergy," Zyl'ax said. "Ms. Johnson, 3 hours before his death, Ambassador Vex'thul took your lunch from the communal cooling unit. Your sandwich. The one marked, 'Do not touch.'" "Oh," Emma sat up straighter. "So you did find out what happened to it. Is there any chance—" "He ate it," Zyl'ax interrupted. "And then he died." Emma's face cycled through several expressions: surprise, annoyance, and then what appeared to be genuine concern. "Oh, that's terrible. I mean, nobody should die over a sandwich. That's awful." She paused. "But also, why would you take someone's clearly labeled lunch? That's just rude." "Rude?" Kael'thas's voice cracked from where he stood against the far wall. The Viroth aide had insisted on being present for the interview. "My mentor, a warrior who survived the Keltheran campaigns, the siege of Vraxis Prime, and the border wars, is dead. Dismembered. Scattered across your station. And you're concerned about rudeness? I mean, yeah, Emma looked genuinely confused. Look, I'm sorry about your friend. I really am, but he did steal my lunch. I spent 20 minutes making that sandwich this morning. I was really looking forward to it. She turned back to Zyl'ax. I might have been a little annoyed when I found it missing. Little annoyed, Zyl'ax repeated slowly. Well, yeah, it had the good turkey, you know, the kind from the commissary that's actually decent, and I'd just bought fresh bread. She sighed. Honestly, I'm more upset about losing my container. That thing was a gift. Drax's voice came through Zyl'ax's implant. Commander, we need to place her under arrest. Standard protocol for suspicious death investigation. Zyl'ax nodded. Ms. Johnson, I'm afraid we need to detain you until… What? No, Emma stood up, laughing. I have work to finish. The environmental systems in Sector 12 are running at 73% efficiency. That's below acceptable parameters. She walked toward the door. Ms. Johnson, you cannot leave. Zyl'ax activated the containment field. The field flickered, sparked, and died completely. Emma pulled on the door. Locked. She knocked politely. Hey, can someone unlock this? I really do have to get back to work. Zyl'ax stared at his control panel. The containment field generators showed full power, fully functional, actively running. They just weren't working, not on her. He tried the physical restraints, maglocks designed to hold beings 50 times stronger than a human. They slid right off her wrists. Huh, Emma said, examining one of the maglocks. These might need recalibrating. They're not engaging properly. She handed it back to him through the door slot. I can take a look at them later if you want. Kael'thas made a sound that no translator could properly render, something between a hiss and a whimper. This is impossible. V'Oth warriors do not simply die. We are apex predators. Ambassador Vex'thul personally led ground assaults against fortified positions. He survived plasma fire, kinetic strikes, and hand-to-hand combat with Thaxian berserkers. His voice rose. He did not die because a maintenance technician was annoyed about lunch. Zyl'ax's communicator exploded with activity. Commander, we're receiving reports from Station Meridian, another V'Oth diplomat found dead under similar circumstances. Station Proxima reporting the same, sir. V'Oth cultural attaché, deceased, body separated at molecular boundaries. Nexus Station confirms. V'Oth trade representative, same condition. Sir, they're all asking about humans. Did the V'Oth interact with humans? Zyl'ax pulled up the network query, hands shaking. 7 stations, 7 dead V'Oth, all diplomatic corps, all within the last 6 hours. He ran a correlation analysis. Every single one had filed complaints yesterday about human food storage protocols. Every single one had been captured on security footage removing human lunches from communal areas. Every single one had eaten the food. Every single one had died approximately 2 to 3 hours later. Get me Station Director Sin Ara, Zyl'ax said, and get me the human embassy. Now. Emma knocked on the door again. Seriously, guys, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I have a schedule to keep. Can we do this later, maybe over lunch? She paused. Well, I'd need to make a new lunch first, and buy a new container. Speaking of which, am I getting compensated for this? That was $8.50 worth of groceries, and the container was another 12 credits. You want money? Kael'thas stared at her. My mentor is dead, and you want monetary compensation for a sandwich? I mean, he's the one who stole it, Emma pointed out reasonably. And yeah, 20 credits seems fair. I'm on a budget here. The human embassy representative's face appeared on Zyl'ax's display. Patricia Anderson looking tired and completely unsurprised. Let me guess, she said before Zyl'ax could speak. V'Oth diplomat, took human lunch, now deceased, and you have no idea how it happened? 7 stations, Zyl'ax said. 7 dead in 6 hours. What are your people? Patricia sighed. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And Commander, let Emma go back to work. Trust me on this. Trying to restrain her is just going to break your equipment. We'll talk soon. The call ended. Emma checked the chronometer again. So, Can I go or? The forensic laboratory had been designed to analyze evidence from 73 different species across known space. Chief Medical Examiner Janira had personally investigated over 2,000 deaths in her career. She'd seen victims of energy weapons, molecular disintegrators, nanotech plagues, and temporal paradoxes. What she saw under her quantum microscope made her question her entire understanding of biology. "Commander," she said, not looking up from her display, "I need you to see this." Zyl'ax entered the sterile lab, Kael'thas following, despite his obvious distress. Patricia Anderson from the human embassy had arrived minutes ago and stood with her arms crossed, expression unreadable. Janira pulled up a holographic display showing Ambassador Vex'thul's tissue at the molecular level. The body parts didn't separate through any force we can measure. There's no evidence of cutting, tearing, or dissolution. The molecular bonds simply stopped. Stopped. Zyl'ax leaned closer. The cells ceased being connected to each other, not through damage, through voluntary dissociation, as if every molecule in his body simultaneously decided it didn't want to be part of the same organism anymore. Janira's voice carried a tremor. "In 40 years of xenobiology, I've never seen anything like this. It's not death, it's spontaneous structural rejection at the quantum level." Kael'thas made a choking sound. "That's impossible. V'Roth's cellular structure is reinforced through biometallic matrices. Our bodies are designed to maintain cohesion under extreme stress. We've survived in hard vacuum, Commander. We don't just fall apart." "And yet," Patricia said quietly, "here we are." Zyl'ax pulled up Emma's interview recording. She said she might have been a little annoyed about the sandwich, and that she really liked it because she'd made it special. He looked at Patricia. "What does that mean?" "Show me the footage of her making it," Patricia said. Drax brought up the security feed from Emma's quarters that morning at 630 hours. Standard food preparation area. Emma moved through her routine with practiced efficiency. Bread from storage, turkey from the cooling unit, condiments from the shelf, knife, cutting board, assembly, container. Label. Nothing unusual, except the sensors. "Freeze that," Patricia said. "Run a full spectral analysis on frames 2847 through 2903. The technical officer complied. The readings made everyone in the room go silent. Localized radiation spikes, quantum field fluctuations, minor temporal distortions. Reality variance of 0.03%, small but measurable, all centered on the sandwich as Emma assembled it. "She weaponized lunch meat," Janira whispered. "How is that possible?" "It's just turkey, mayo, mustard, and a little hot sauce," came Emma's voice from the recording as she narrated her process to herself. "A human habit, apparently. Talking while working. Nothing fancy, but I'm really looking forward to this one." Patricia rubbed her temples. "She didn't weaponize anything. She just made lunch. That's the problem." "Explain," Zyl'ax demanded. 7 stations, 47 similar incidents in our database search going back 3 years, all involving humans, all involving food theft, all perpetrators found in pieces. What are you people doing?" "We're not doing anything," Patricia said. "That's what you don't understand. We're just existing, being human." She turned to Kael'thas. "Tell me about V'Roth culture, specifically about ownership and territory." Kael'thas straightened despite his grief. "We are apex predators. We take what we need. The strong claim resources, the weak yield. It's the foundation of our society, our diplomatic approach, our entire civilization. We conquer, we claim, we dominate. And the concept of personal property belongs to whoever is strong enough to hold it." Patricia nodded slowly. "That's your problem. See, humans evolved differently. We're persistence hunters, yes, but we're also incredibly territorial about specific things, food especially. When a human marks something as theirs, truly marks it, with intent and emotional investment, it becomes theirs at a level you can't comprehend." Marking. Zyl'ax pulled up the image of Emma's container. Black text, simple words. "Emma, do not touch," Patricia read aloud. She claimed it. She made that sandwich with her own hands, thinking about how much she'd enjoy it. She marked it with her name. She established ownership at a quantum level, Commander. She made that sandwich hers in a way that literally altered its fundamental relationship with reality. That's insane, Janira said. That's humanity. Patricia pulled up a file on her datapad. We've tried to explain this in the integration protocols. Other species instinctively understand and respect it. You know why there's never been a single incident with Keltharan, Thaxian, or any other apex predator species? Why? Kael'thas whispered. Because they can sense it. They recognize the territorial marker. They know on an instinctive level that taking human-claimed food is dangerous. Vy'roth can't sense it because your entire culture has made you blind to territorial markers that aren't based on physical dominance. Zyl'ax pulled up the database of incidents. 47 cases, all different human individuals, all different types of food, all marked with names or notes, all stolen by Vy'roth. So when Ambassador Vex'thul took Emma's sandwich, he violated a territorial marker enforced by human quantum-level possessiveness. Emma being a little annoyed meant reality itself agreed he shouldn't exist in proximity to her property. His body rejected cohesion because the universe recognized he'd transgressed against a human claim. Patricia looked at each of them. It's not murder, it's not even aggression, it's natural law asserting itself around human territorial behavior. But Emma doesn't know, Zyl'ax said suddenly. She has no idea she did this. Of course not. Do you consciously regulate your breathing, your heart rate, your cellular division? Patricia shook her head. Humans don't know we do this. We just mark what's ours and expect it to be respected. When it's not, we get annoyed. That annoyance is enough. Kael'thas collapsed against the wall, his massive frame sliding down. My people. We've been filing complaints about human food aggression for 3 years. We thought you were being territorial savages. We thought we were teaching you proper behavior by taking what we wanted. You were committing suicide, Patricia said bluntly, every single time. Station Director Sinara's emergency conference room had been built to handle diplomatic crises. The long table could seat representatives from 30 species. Today it held Zyl'ax, Patricia Anderson, Kael'thas, and 3 Galactic Council security investigators who'd arrived demanding answers. Patricia dropped a datapad on the table with a heavy thunk. Page 47 of the Human Integration Protocols, Section 12, Subsection C. Human food items marked with personal identifiers should be treated as quantum-claimed territory. Under no circumstances should non-humans consume or relocate such items without explicit permission. It's right there. We tried to warn you. Investigator Lear Anna, a Keltharan with silver-blue scales, scanned the document. This section was flagged as cultural superstition by Vy'roth Diplomatic Review. They petitioned to have it removed from mandatory reading 3 times. Of course they did, Patricia said with long-suffering patience, because it contradicted their entire worldview. They thought we were being primitive, territorial savages clinging to outdated ownership concepts. She pulled up a holographic display. Humans evolved as persistence, hunters. We tracked prey for days, weeks if necessary. We claimed kills through sheer stubbornness. When we say something is ours, we don't just mean legally or socially. We mean fundamentally, at a level that apparently rewrites quantum probability. Zyl'ax brought up the enhanced footage of Ambassador Vex'thul's final moments. We recovered additional camera data from the corridor where he was walking after consuming the sandwich. Watch carefully at timestamp. 12:11:47. The hologram showed Vex'thul striding down the corridor, sandwich container in his hand. He appeared healthy, strong, completely normal. Then, between one step and the next, his body simply ceased maintaining cohesion. No violence, no struggle. His molecular structure just decided to stop being a unified organism. The process took exactly 2.3 seconds. It was instantaneous, Janira said from her position at the table's end. Painless. His neural activity stopped before his brain could register distress. From a medical perspective, he simply ceased to exist as a living being. The body parts continued falling for several seconds due to momentum, which explains why they were found across multiple sectors. He fell apart while eating my sandwich? Emma's voice came from the doorway. She stood in her work jumpsuit, looking between the assembled officials with growing confusion. I thought maybe he choked or had a heart attack or something. You're saying he just came apart? Ms. Johnson, Patricia said gently, you marked that sandwich as yours. You made it with care, looking forward to eating it. You wrote your name on the container and added, "Do not touch." You established ownership with genuine emotional investment. Well, yeah, it was my lunch. I made it for me. And when Ambassador Vex'thul took it and ate it, he violated a territorial marker enforced at the quantum level. Your annoyance, just being a little annoyed about losing your sandwich, was enough to make reality agree he shouldn't exist in proximity to your claimed property. Emma blinked. Wait, what? Kael'thas stood, his movements slow and defeated. My species, Ms. Johnson, pride ourselves on taking what we want. Our entire diplomatic approach is based on demonstrating dominance. We see resources, we claim them. We saw human food storage as weakness, marking items with names instead of defending them physically. His voice cracked. We thought we were teaching you proper behavior. That might is right, that the strong take from the weak. But I'm not weak, Emma said, confused. I'm just a maintenance tech who wanted her turkey sandwich. You're human, Patricia said. When you claim something as yours, you're not just making a social statement. You're establishing a quantum-level ownership marker that other species instinctively recognize and respect. Keltheran, Thaxian, Zillian, even Thelian berserkers, they all avoid human-marked food without consciously knowing why. They sense the marker. Lyrana nodded slowly. It's true. I've worked alongside humans for 6 years. I've never even considered taking their marked food. The thought simply doesn't occur to me. I assumed it was respect for cultural practices. It's instinct, Patricia said. Your species evolved to recognize territorial markers. V'Roth didn't. Your culture of dominance made you blind to warnings that every other apex predator species naturally heeds. Kael'thas pulled up his personal datapad with shaking hands. 3 years. We've been filing formal complaints about human food aggression for 3 years. 47 incidents. We documented every case, insisting humans were being irrationally territorial and needed behavioral correction. He looked at the assembled group. We were killing ourselves, repeatedly, and calling it your fault. The deaths weren't murder, Janira confirmed. They were violations of natural law, like walking into hard vacuum without a suit or touching a plasma conduit. The universe simply enforced human territorial claims through quantum-level rejection of transgressors. Emma sat down heavily in a chair. So Ambassador Vex'thul died because I was annoyed about my sandwich. I killed him by being mildly irritated. No, Patricia said firmly. He died because he violated a fundamental territorial marker that his species was culturally incapable of recognizing. You didn't kill him, Emma. You just marked your lunch. He chose to ignore that marker. Reality did the rest. But I didn't mean to. Of course not. Do you consciously regulate your heartbeat, your breathing? This is autonomic human behavior. You mark what's yours. The universe enforces it. You don't choose it any more than you choose to digest food or fight off infections. Zyl'ax pulled up the larger database. 47 confirmed incidents across known space. All V'Roth perpetrators. All human victims, though victims seems wrong since none of them were harmed. None of us even knew, Emma said quietly. I thought someone just stole my lunch. I was going to make another one tomorrow and maybe put it in a different fridge. Kael'thas made a sound like breaking glass. My entire species, our diplomatic corps, our trade representatives, our cultural attachés, we've been approaching human integration as a dominance exercise, taking your food to establish hierarchy. teaching you to accept Vuroth superiority. He looked at Emma with something like horror. We've been committing assisted suicide and blaming you for murder. Station maintenance installed the new warning labels at 600 hours the next morning. Bright yellow with black text in 17 languages, affixed to every communal cooling unit across all residential and commercial sectors. Caution: human food storage area, do not remove items marked with personal identifiers. Violation may result in spontaneous molecular dissociation. This is not a threat, this is physics. Zyl'ax watched the installation crew work, still processing the previous day's revelations. His datapad showed the official Galactic Council bulletin that had gone out to all registered stations at midnight. Emergency protocol. Update. Human territorial markers. Classification. Critical safety information regarding human food. Items. Observation, not interaction. The bulletin had been flagged as mandatory reading for all diplomatic staff, security personnel, and station residents. The Vuroth Empire had issued a formal apology within 3 hours, along with a species-wide directive to avoid human-marked property entirely. They'd also transferred 50,000 credits to Emma Johnson's account as reparations. She'd called the accounting office to report the error. "Commander," Zyl'ax said, approaching with a tablet. "Ms. Johnson is in break room 7B. She's making another lunch. There are observers." Zyl'ax found Emma at the counter, humming while she assembled a sandwich. Around her, pressed against the far walls, stood representatives from 11 different species. They watched with the intensity of scientists observing a dangerous experiment. Emma spread mayonnaise on bread, completely oblivious to her audience. The atmospheric sensors went haywire. Quantum field fluctuations spiked. A Keltheran physicist made frantic notes on her datapad while a Thaxian security officer's scales rippled with instinctive unease. Emma added turkey, lettuce, tomato, squirted mustard, a dash of hot sauce. She hummed what sounded like an Earth melody called "Don't Stop Believin'." Patricia had mentioned humans did this, turned everything into background music. She placed the sandwich in a new container, this one with a cartoon earth feline also named Cat. Then, with a permanent marker, she wrote in casual script, "Emma, seriously, don't touch this one." Reality shuddered, just slightly, just enough that every non-human in the room felt it. Emma closed the container, marked it with a timestamp, and placed it in the cooling unit. "There we go. Lunch is handled." She noticed her audience. "Oh, hey everyone! You all need the break room? I'm done." She left, tool belt clinking, still humming. The observers remained frozen for a full 30 seconds. "Did you measure that?" the Keltheran physicist whispered. "0.005% reality variance," her colleague confirmed. "Localized quantum field restructuring. Molecular bonding probability shifted in a 3-meter radius around the marked container." "She has no idea," the Thaxian said with something like awe. "She genuinely has no idea what she just did." Zyl'ax found Emma 2 hours later in Sector 12, elbow deep in an air filtration control panel. She'd removed the access cover and was rerouting conduit lines while muttering about efficiency protocols and whoever designed this system. "Ms. Johnson," he said carefully, "do you understand what happened yesterday?" Emma glanced over her shoulder. "Yeah, some big lizard dude ate my sandwich and had a medical emergency. Weird Tuesday." She returned to her work, adjusting a connector. "Really weird Tuesday, honestly. I've had some strange shifts, but that one's up there." "He died because you were annoyed." "Well, yeah. I was really looking forward to that sandwich." She tested the connection, nodded with satisfaction. "But I would have shared if he'd just asked. I'm not a monster. We could have split it, you know? I usually make enough for leftovers anyway." She laughed, that casual human sound that somehow made the impossible seem mundane. Though I guess he couldn't ask now that I think about it. Translator thing? Cultural misunderstanding? Zyl'ax felt something fundamental shift in his understanding of the universe. Ms. Johnson, you're classified as a potential weapon of mass destruction in 7 jurisdictions now. Emma blinked. What? That's ridiculous. I fix air filters. You enforce territorial claims at the quantum level. I just mark my lunch. She pulled herself out of the access panel, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit. Look, Commander, I appreciate the whole investigation thing and whatever, but can we agree this was just a really unfortunate accident? Dude had a medical issue. Wrong place. Wrong time. Very sad. I got my $850 reimbursement and that weirdly large apology payment that I'm still not sure about. Can we move on? Move on, Zyl'ax repeated. Yeah, I've got 6 more filtration systems to check. The environmental controls in the cargo bay are still running suboptimal, and someone reported a coolant leak in Sector 9 that I need to investigate before it becomes a problem. She checked her handheld schedule. Busy day. She started walking toward the next maintenance checkpoint, then paused. Oh, hey, speaking of, you eaten yet? Some of us are grabbing dinner at the commissary after shift. You're welcome to join. They're doing that Keltharan dish with the spicy sauce today. Should be good. You're inviting me to dinner. Yeah, why not? You seem nice. Bit stressed, but nice. She grinned. Just don't touch my food when we get there, obviously. She laughed at her own joke and continued down the corridor, whistling. Zyl'ax stood alone in the corridor watching her go. She'd killed a Vroth warrior diplomat through sheer annoyance. She'd caused spontaneous molecular dissociation with mild irritation. She'd accidentally triggered a galaxy-wide safety protocol revision. And she thought it was a medical emergency that happened on a weird Tuesday. He pulled up his security database and created a new entry. Classification, human territorial behavior. Designation, reality-enforced property. Claims, threat level, extreme, unintentional. Countermeasures, respect marked items, do not test boundaries. Notes, subjects remain unaware of capabilities, maintain awareness, do not alarm humans regarding this phenomenon. From down the corridor, Emma's voice echoed back. Commander, dinner, yes or no? I need a head count. Yes, Zyl'ax called back, surprising himself. I'll join you. Cool, meet at the commissary at 1800, bring whoever, it's casual. Casual, right. Zyl'ax updated his final note. Recommend treating all human social invitations with standard safety protocols. Subject species remains friendly despite catastrophic defensive capabilities. Approach with respect, caution, and apparently, appetite. He had 20 years of security experience. He'd handled countless species, countless situations, countless threats. He'd never encountered anything quite like humanity. Dangerous, oblivious, and somehow still worried about whether the Keltharan spicy sauce would be good today. The universe had just gotten significantly more complicated. And Emma Johnson was whistling her way through it, fixing air filters and wondering if anyone had seen her favorite screwdriver.